So hi, welcome to Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Eva from Eva Under Fire.
And we're asking some questions today about their new singles, Blow, Comatose, and Unstoppable. So congrats on those, by the way. How do you feel about the response of all of them so far?
So far, so good. And probably better than expected, right? Especially for Blow, because, I know you guys haven't dropped this little piece of information, but Spencer Charnas of Ice Nine Kills happened to join us on that one.
Yes.
So it was super fun. I think that, this particular record was interesting because it was the first time that we wanted to do, it big. And so when the producers found us and the record label found us and all this, it changed the game, right? We're just used to writing and jamming by ourselves in the garage, in the jam space.
Mm-hmm.
But then having all of their help to promote this and drop it into the internet universe, right? And then for people to love it was just super cool. Because I think we explored a little bit more heavy aspects of our sound on a couple of these, particularly with Comatose, and then also wildly different end of the spectrum for Unstoppable, which is just fun and a little campy, but I love it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it was a different vibe than we're used to, but I think the response has been epic.
Yeah, all the songs are great. I'm partial to Blow though. I love that song so much.
Sure. So as you mentioned, you actually do have Spencer Charnas as a feature on one of these two tracks that have features. Your other feature is Jonathan from Ego Kills Death. How did those features come about, and what was it like working with everybody?
Oh, it was cool. So and just for record, Ego Kill Talent is fantastic. But we were new to their music, right? But we share a manager, so that was kind of an interesting thing. Because all of this came together over pandemic world, it was very strange not meeting people in person, not going to studio and like having those types of connections. But everybody was very down for Zoom chats. And so, kind of like someone knew another person who was interested, particularly the management for Jonathan on Ego Kill Talent, coming on board for Comatose. But then the other connection for Spencer, we were both part of a independent film called The Retaliators, which is super epic horror film. And they wanted Blow for the soundtrack. So sidebar, soundtrack for that movie can be absolutely sick.
Sounds like it.
Yes. So like Five Finger Death Punch is on it. Blow, of course, is on it. And there's so many different other artists who also have music on the soundtrack. So it's killer soundtrack. But with both of us being cameos in the film, it made sense, right? So we kind of pitched it to Spencer, and he came back with a really cool idea. He was like, I think this would be killer, but what if we wrote the second verse to, be the character that I portray in the film? So that's actually like his feature is written from his character's perspective in that film, cool. Which I thought was kind of a cool vibe. Yeah.
That is so sick.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I was like, well, yes,
whoa.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So can you tell us a little about your writing process for these tracks?
Ooh, so many different ones. So I started by saying that the guys and I in the band usually used to writing, just jamming together in a room. We're all, from the same area locally. And so we all just kind of get together in a jam space a lot. But when we brought that energy to the producers too, it's almost adding like a sixth band member to your component, right? So it was interesting. At first tempers were flaring, personalities flare all the time, right? But I think as we kind of got down to what are we trying to say and how do we serve the song, everything flowed so much better. And then I started to be able to explore different topics in different ways, because I think that the sixth member in the room was like, you guys are so used to doing emotional music, which is wonderful, but why don't you also explore not just dark emotions, but fun, lighthearted emotions as well? So I think it helped to opened that up for us as writers. So I think this album is kind of reflective of that full spectrum, which is really cool.
Very cool. And I'm glad that like you cited like the producers, like a 6-member of the band, because like everybody kind of knows that like behind the scenes, but no bands like really say it publicly that like how much the producer helped them with writing and everything.
Yeah, I just think it's important to acknowledge the behind the scenes that challenge you to be your best version of your artistry, right? So like I don't by any means think that they're, you know, we're not, I guess, in the camp of write for your artist, right? Or that the artist's true authentic self should not be stifled or you know, make sure that can shine through to any and all cost. But when you find the right people to write with, it just becomes more collaborative and everyone's invested in the same process. And I think that the label saw this as well, which is why they shipped us off to all kinds of different ends of the earth to find the right people. And we did. I think we found that for sure. So I never like to, you know, try to hide behind any, like, you know, yeah, it was all me. I wrote everything. I wrote everything from the drum parts to the guitar riffs and everything else. I wrote all my lyrics. I can tell you that. And the stories and the concepts that we write are very much our own. But I think it's important to cite those people that are there to elevate your artistry and your brand and your, you know, and make you think about things that you really hadn't thought of before. You know, I recently was hanging out with a couple other. We played Shiprocked like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure we're getting there, but like we played Shiprocked. Okay, and we were hanging out with some of the other bands and the producers and things like that, because there's all kinds of people that are there from the industry, and they were like, you know, the pop world doesn't have this where it's like, oh, you need to be your own brand, and there's nobody else that can tell you how to be. There's 8, 12, 14 different writers on some of these pop songs. And they're like, how do you think that they got there? They took everyone's perspective into account and all parties served the song. And it wasn't one person that just said, no, my ideas are best and I don't want anyone else's ideas. Instead, it's a much more collaborative process. And so of course you're going to get the best result. And there, you know, those songs get billions of views and downloads and things like that. And I thought that was a really eye-opening perspective. I was like, you know, you're right on. You know, this should be more of a, oh, you have a good idea. Cool. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah.
For sure. And since you brought up Shiprocked, we didn't actually have any questions about it, but I guess we'll talk about it a little bit. That was like super last minute, correct?
Yeah. I felt like we won a cruise. That's how last minute it was.
Like were bands like dropping off and stuff, and like you guys were just like got the call and it was like, hell yeah. So
we made the call because we saw that there was all kinds of like, you know, shimmying around, and we were like, can we like shimmy our way onto this thing? You know, so just so happens that it was a long shot turned into a maybe, turned into a confirmed offer within, I don't know, like 48 hours. So we would, like, throw some t-shirts in a bin, everybody in the truck, let's go. We got 3 days.
We gotta get on this fucking boat.
Leave port. And so it was really kind of a wild ride, you know, just getting there. But even once getting on board, even more of I'm so grateful that we got a chance to do it. Some friends of ours that we've known from our short history touring had also played and been part of these events. Hush, Murph. I'm hanging out with people.
Can we meet
Murph?
Yeah. Okay. Come here. Look. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, Murph. I know.
Hi.
He's mad at me because if I close the door, that means he can't come in or out, and he doesn't like the door closed. So it's not even a matter of he can't get out right now. It's there's no option. He doesn't like not having an option. Because I could let him out and he'll still meow and do the same crap.
Yeah.
So calm down, Murph. We're in the middle of an interview. But we get on the ship and everybody was telling us, you know, you guys got to experience Shiprocked. I mean, once you've lived it, you'll never want to go back. And they're so right. When we got on board, it was just far surpassed our expectations. everybody was the best, I mean, human possible. And truly on this ship, the fans were great. The bands were amazing. Their production team was second to none. I mean, truly they were just, it was an incredible experience.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
And since you said like it was like an unforgettable experience and everything, can you share like one of your favorite memories from the cruise?
Oh yeah, I can give you top 3.
Okay.
Oh yes, perfect.
So first was Joey Belladonna of Anthrax came up on stage and crashed our set to sing our cover song that we do, Separate Ways Journey, with us. So yeah, it was crazy because like, okay, we got this idea. Steel Panther was on the boat, and they were the first performance as we were leaving to go on our grand journey. And they brought up Joey, and he sang Don't Stop Believing with those guys. So my idiot friends that I hang out with in our band just randomly pass by and see Joey's chilling there with the guy from, the singer of Steel Panther and some other bands. And we were just walking by, and he goes, "Hey, I heard that you like to do covers of Journey. You should come do ours with us." And I was like, oh, mortified immediately.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the lead singer of Steel Panther, Michael Starr, looks over at Joey and goes, "Cold, man. Super cold." And I was like, no, did we just offend everybody like in the same foul swoop as you just like casually asking legends to join us on stage? Nobody knows who we are, dude. Shut up.
Oh no.
Look at the bottom of the bill, and we had to ask to get on here.
Yeah, right. I'm like, this is crazy. We shouldn't even be here. Stop. You're bothering people. So I circle back around, and Joey's the biggest sweetheart that ever lived, truly. And I was like, please don't feel obligated because my idiot friend wants to just tell you that you need to come. He was like, "Well, what time are you guys playing?" So this is like a for real maybe. So we tell him, and we're just kind of chit-chatting, and we figured he probably would forget about what we just talked about, or maybe he was just trying to let us down easy. The next night when we were performing in the aft lounge stage, which was fairly small capacity, but like all of the stages sounded great. They just, it wasn't, it was just like not the main deck stage, right? It's just this little lounge bar. We were playing the big stage the next morning. It was like noon. We were like opening the big deck stage. But that night was like our first performance on the ship. And we had several people standing in front of us having a good old time, right? And then all this whispering starts happening, and we can kind of see it, right? I mean, the music's loud, so we can't really hear anything, but like all of the people start looking, and we're like, what are you looking at? And on Rob's side of the stage, he sees Joey Belladonna is like, "Hey." I'm like, this is happening. So we were like, okay, we're not supposed to play this till later in the set, but we're calling an audible right now because a legend just so happens to want to join us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joey Belladonna. Yeah. And he sang Separate Ways. It was the coolest thing in the world, because I think just because most times those kinds of situations occur, it's when people know each other. It's a very small industry. A lot of people have built rapport and they're friends, we just showed up as a newbie and like invited random amazing rock stars to join us, and it worked.
I love that.
Only on Shiprocked.
Yeah.
Only on Shiprocked. Because and then I think one of my other favorite moments was because Bad Flower was on the ship. And one of my favorite Bad Flower songs is not on one of their albums. It's just a one-off single that's a fan favorite, I feel like, that they've kept around. It's called Move Me. And I saw them perform in the theater stage, and I almost didn't catch their main deck stage, but I caught half of it. And at the bottom half of it, at the end of the performance, they closed with Move Me. And I immediately became a fangirl. And I was like, lost my mind. I was like, oh, they're playing the song I never expected them to play live. So I was really excited for those two moments. And the other moment that was probably my favorite was just we sailed into 85-degree weather and had the best time chilling around in Mexico. And it was just surreal to take in the fact that I was there with bands I've been listening to for like 10 years or more, right? Or grew up on in some cases. And they were all just milling around cool with beverages in hand and sunglasses on, and fans were mingling, and they were, also coming up to us for photos and them for photo. It was just like a weird, wow, we're here. Like this is a moment, So that was probably my third favorite, was just the realization of like, holy crap, this is happening.
Very cool. God. I'm glad you had a blast.
Yeah, I'm so happy you had that experience.
So again, best
Hell yeah.
stuff.
Awesome. So we're gonna just shift back to our questions now, if that's all right with you.
Awesome. We should do that because I could keep going.
Fair enough.
It's fair. So I want you to pick your favorite lyric off these couple of tracks and tell us the meaning behind it.
Oh, no one's ever asked me that before. I love this. Okay. Let's see. It's got to be Comatose. Comatose is probably my favorite track off the record. Just because it is, it sits within that frame that I love of being very meaningful and powerful, but also kind of hits the heavier tones and gets a little angry and gets a little bitter, right? So when you're screaming, someone save me from myself, I think that's so relatable because of the way that I talk. So I talk to fans and other bands, and everybody always has a story. And I feel like at some moment in their story, people wish that they could have done differently, or that they themselves didn't think that way about their own life, about themselves. We are at war with some part of who we are at some point, whether you're just growing through something and you need that to change, or you've really felt like you made a mistake somewhere and you have a lot of regret about that. Whatever that path looks like, I think that's just probably one of the most relatable concepts. And the way that it sits in the song is just, it's such a powerful moment for me. And I love playing live. That is where we belong. This band is a live band through and through. Between me and my buddy Chris, we just eat it up on the stage. So like live is where the moments happen for me. So when we have that as like the cadence after the chorus, someone save me from myself, right? Everybody loses their mind.
As they should.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's just a powerful moment, and I think that's probably one of my favorite lyrics, just because of what it does for me in that setting.
Yeah.
So where was your headspace at while you're writing these couple of singles?
A little bit everywhere, I guess briefly, Unstoppable is actually a paying homage to my parents' love story, because they were kind of young and wild, and my dad used to steal my aunt's red Corvette and go take my mom on joyrides when she was at work.
That's cute.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So when I talk about a stolen red Corvette, that's like legitimately what my history looks like. So it was fun to take it into a space like that. Like me, usually it's all about my own experience of things, but this song was about a story that I had heard, that I've been hearing for years, right? About my parents. Comatose was a different world entirely. It was my own version of what I imagine addiction feels like. So I don't know if you guys know anything about my background, but just personally, and each individual member of my band, unfortunately, has gone through some version of addiction plaguing their family or their loved ones in some way, right? So mine was very close to me. Both my parents struggled with addiction. My mother made it out, and my dad lost his bite. So it was that moment. I was reflecting more on my mom's journey about how, because she had been in recovery for long enough to talk with her about like how remorseful it is and how like out of body it is, and that there's something else is in the driver's seat when you introduce that into your world. So for me, I thought of, it would probably have felt better if I was in her shoes to just lose myself in sleep, you know, and become comatose instead of, I can't trust myself to make my own decisions. I can't do what I want to do, or be who I want to be. So I'd rather be asleep. I'd rather be comatose. Just put me, you know, let me sleep through this. I want to be out of my misery kind of thing. Without the unaliving process. But that's, you know, I think that was where my head was, at least. And Blow was meant to just sort of be like a sassy, aggressive, like woman empowerment kind of thing. And I really only say woman empowerment because I'm singing it, but just a sassy empowerment vibe in any case. But the way that they integrated it into the Retaliators is brilliant, because if you've seen the music video, it's all horror themed, and it was actually filmed on the Retaliator set. So I love that they took that and twisted it into, you know, almost added like a crazy element of like murderer and type of, you know, like I'm about to lose my mind and like slay everything. Like, ooh, that's dark. But okay, let's do this.
Yeah, it's exciting. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to these couple of tracks for the first time? Should they play in the car with friends in the dark with headphones on? Should they blast at a party, work out to it? What do you personally recommend?
In the car, turned up, with or without other humans. But I really do think in the car, turned up. Most people have like settings in their car where they can really get the best sound, right? Out of their speakers or whatever. But I think too, driving along to anything that's powerful is just sort of a vibe, right? And I feel like whether that's inspirational and fun, or it's like dark and headbanging, which you kind of get both on, you know, for those couple of songs, in the car, super loud.
All right.
And if you don't mind me asking, how did you personally listen to these tracks for the first time?
It was less in the car, more in the studio, which is an even cooler sound system because you can really make sure everything's all dialed in, right? But it was definitely through the speakers in a live room setting, and it was so much fun. So I take back what I said before. I really think you should have other people with you so that you can look at each other and be like, because that was my experience, and it just made it even better.
And if you could kind of describe that energy that you guys felt in the studio when you were finally listening to the tracks all finished, could you do that for us?
Final tracks. Final tracks was like almost, you know, like some of those moments that are super excitable, we were standing there and headbanging. But I feel like as musicians, when you really feel it, especially if it's yours, you just kind of look at each other with a sinister little half smile, like this is going to slay everything. Right? Like you just have that sense of just accomplishment, and you're very, you know, like, wow, we did this. That's us. You know, like, yes, you know, this is, so I feel like if there were, you know, not with all of those crazy facial expressions, but usually it's just like a real sly, like, this is it. This is what we needed. Right.
That's perfect.
So this question should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe these couple of singles in 3 words, no more, no less, as fast as you can. Thought there was more to that. There's not. Usually there's multiple people, so I say everyone.
Right. Powerful, loud, inspiring.
Perfect.
Ooh, all right. And so is there a certain feeling or emotion you want these tracks to invoke in your listeners?
I feel like they have different ones.
Okay.
But
you could go track by track if you want.
I kind of think like I just want people to feel like somebody gets it. I don't know how to put that into an emotion. You know, I just understood, maybe can, you know, but that's not an emotion. Maybe fulfillment, in the sense that this is a very wide spectrum of different things. There's like angry stuff and sad stuff and inspiring but pretty sounding things, and then also just things that are there for fun. So I want people to be like, this is good. Like I can listen to these songs in this moment, that moment, or that moment, and all of it, like I feel like they get it. So I like that connection. Meaningful connection is something that I'm super all about, whether I'm doing music or I'm not doing music. So I feel like when I'm really passionate about the music that I write, I want people to be able to be like, when they meet me, because we stand out by the merch booth at like every show we can, at the meet and greet, whatever, and be like, you guys, you did the thing. I was right here the whole time. I was like, yes, perfect.
All right, very cool. So what band or artist influence do you think you can hear the most on these tracks, if any?
Oh, probably lots. Because I mean, we all took from different, like my guitar players were super inspired by Deftones and Metallica. Corey, whose drummer, is super inspired. His name is Morgan. What band does he play for? Oh no, he's gonna kill me for blanking on this.
Oh no.
At any rate, most of us have a couple different very key, artists that influenced us in just our personal walk with music, right? Whether that's the vocals or whatever it is that they do. The reason why they picked up a guitar, the reason why they picked up drumming. But I think that on the collective, side for the record, it's like Chickleback. There. I said it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll take it.
Yeah. It's definitely like just powerhouse rock and roll, like Nickelback is so known for.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of like formulaic stuff in there. I'm not gonna lie. It's not like an artsy sort of like real, inspired type of album until you get to Moments. And that's what I like about them, because they still have guitar solos and they still have these little like cool fills and different things. And like, then there's also like, I don't know, pop influence from my end, because I grew up with, I don't know, Christina Aguilera and Alicia Keys and, but also Amy Lee and, so like wildly different spectrum, I guess. So there's lots of layered vocals and stacked harmonies. And like sometimes in the choruses, I just go off, I'm like hitting all these notes and stuff. So I think there's a lot of different artists, I think, in there.
Okay. That's fair. So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating these singles?
Oh, it's kind of a haunting one a little bit, but you'll see why I laugh at it. So I was in the studio writing the words to our song Heroin. And that's not part of the lineup of the 3 songs that we've been talking about, but it is on the record, right? So as we were writing the album, and this was close to me because it was just right after I had lost my dad. And so this was kind of the more powerful side and emotional side of what I was going through. It was the sad side, right? But dudes don't do well with emotion a lot. And I was the only non-dude in the room. So as I'm sitting here, Niagara Falls, penning these lyrics, right? I noticed everybody else just sort of like tiptoes away and like tries to give me my space, but like isn't sure what to do. It's like that awkward, like, you're gonna, I can't tell her she's gonna be okay. She just lost her dad. Like they don't know what to do. But they were texting each other, like trying their hardest. Those guys, at much love, but they were trying their hardest to be like, okay, let me know when she's okay. Do you need any tissue down there? Nope, got tissue. Okay, cool. I'm just going to let her have her moment.
Yeah.
They were very supportive. And we laugh about it now because it was just funny that they had no idea what to do with a crying girl in their midst. But we got a great song out of it. And it was really, I feel like I was fulfilled in that moment because I got what was on my heart out onto the page, So I was grateful that they let me have my moment, but man, was it funny.
After the fact.
Just sit there and watch them squirm when you don't wipe away the
tears.
So as we've hinted at, these singles are leading up to a record coming out later this year. What can you tell us about it, the upcoming album?
Lots of different topics. are discussed, right? The album is called Love, Drugs, and Misery.
Ooh.
And that's pretty much thematic, right? So each of the songs on the album, there's probably 1, 2, 3 different songs about those topics. And it was kind of my take on like drugs, sex, and rock and roll, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like that was the generation before me. And so the fallout of that is my generation, which is Love, Drugs, and Misery.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I kind of took some creative liberties in naming the album. And I feel like the themes are kind of all encompassing on the different tracks. So lots of different sounds, lots of different topics. And it kind of takes you into this, kind of story mode overall. It was really funny. I didn't realize until we started selling t-shirts with the artwork on for Love, Drugs, and Misery, how edgy apparently people think this is. They're like, oh, I can't wear a t-shirt that says drugs.
What?
And this is an anti-drug message. I'm not telling you to go out and do, no, I said, wow.
I mean,
apparently
like
PG-13 is edgy now. I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess
so.
Like if you walk into school with like a shirt that says drugs, like they'll dress code you for it. Like I don't know.
Ooh.
Right.
Like just the word itself.
Target market 15-year-olds. So I'm sorry, Mom. Your kid needs an anti-drug message. You're welcome.
Exactly.
That's great.
Oh my God. So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop, you're going in. What is your snack of choice?
Snack of choice. It's more like what snack is available, because there are so many different chains that, like, oh my goodness, they just never stopped. Love's, don't go to Love's. Sinclair's, don't go to Sinclair's. If you have a chance, Flying J, that's the best one. Or there's one in Pennsylvania. I'll have to come back to you guys.
Sheets?
But I know
Wawa?
if you're Sheets,
yes.
It's Sheets. We love. Listen, that place has saved my life several times after many a show when there was nothing else open and it was just Sheets.
Yeah.
But we probably go to. I really like Goldfish, like the Pepperidge Farms, like just regular like Goldfish snacks, and it's pretty benign. So like not too acidic and not too. So I just crackers and water.
Okay.
Pretty chill.
I respect
most of them would probably say kind of like ice cream, candy, something that's terrible for you. And then they go to the gym the next day to like justify themselves.
But you have to like keep your voice together. So I get it.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah. So for these last couple of questions, so I could shift away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Ooh. You got me. Chicken fajitas and a lime margarita.
All right.
That sounds delicious. That sounds perfect. Yeah.
Right. I just, one last fiesta.
Exactly.
There you go. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
One fictional world for a week. I hate this question because all of my fictional worlds are like war-torn elven empires. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want to live there because that's a lot. I can't actually wield a sword. Maybe if I was like actually fight, then I could, like the whatever fae, some kind of elven creature. Maybe then if I could be the character that was like cut out for that environment, probably one of those. Or I recently read a book called The Shade. That would be cool too. It's like a coven of vampires, but like they have a witch protected island and they're all like super rich and there's no rules there. So let's do that one.
That sounds really cool.
That does.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. The Shade. There's like a million books but the first 3 I think are really good.
Okay. Perfect.
So I've now been asking the last question, and every single person we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Orange.
Specific shade of orange?
Sunset.
There you go.
That sounded like a question.
Yeah. Well, because it could be different. I like neon too, but neon is only in certain settings, like in summertime. I think neon makes sense, but like any other time, I really like just the real pretty kind of sky, natural orange, right? Like a flower or a sunset, right?
Yeah.
But in the summertime, I'm like, go hard, neon.
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Perfect. That makes sense.
So as I said, that's all the questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
I mean, shout out to you guys for having me on this podcast. Yeah, thank you. And check out Eva Under Fire. We're all over Spotify. I have a new growing TikTok account just in case you want to follow for more shenanigans. And you can pre-order the album. So you should go to all the links and all my socials and pre-order Love, Drugs, and Misery.
All right. Well, thank you for now. That's been Eva from Eva Under Fire, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.